Hey, it's Dr. Ron here, and took a bit of a trip down memory lane a little earlier today. I looked at my doctoral dissertation, which is kind of over on the shelves there. Don't look that often, but happened to be doing so today, and it was about decision making, actually, decision making in married couples, comparing decisions that were made by two different types of couples. Some that had the more traditional outlook, where the wife was was staying home, and the other where the wife was employed. This was in the 1970s, at a time when um, most women who had young children, preschool age children, were not in the workforce. Many cases they would return, but generally not until their kids were in school. And it was a time when were still arguing about whether sending a child to daycare would cause much damage. And consequently, we looked at what are some of the differences in the way that those two types of couples make decisions. At the time, I thought that my professional future would be in the decision making area. Something's flying around here. Then, then it my career took a fortuitous turn into the health psychology area, which I certainly have enjoyed. Um, but decision making has always been kind of something that's interested me, particularly why is it so hard to make decisions? And one of the things that I've kind of determined over time is that it's really not that hard to make important decisions in most cases. I know there are exceptions to the rule. You know, are you making a decision for this job that will take you to live in this city, or this job that will take you to live in another? Are we making a decision to buy a house that may, uh, ultimately prove, a money suck? Um, but in most cases, you know, the big decisions are pretty easy. Uh, I have no problem deciding whether or not to buy a Ferrari because I can't afford it. Um, in Philadelphia today, the temperature is in the high 90s. I have no trouble deciding that when I go outside that I'm not going to put on a down jacket. The decisions that tend to immobilize us more and cause us to overthink are ones where the consequences are not that different from each other, and more importantly, the consequences probably don't affect our lives uh, too much one way or the other. A decision may mean that we can pay off our entire credit card bill one month, as opposed to having to spread it out over three, assuming we can afford to pay it over three. A decision might mean going to this restaurant over that one, uh, doing this particular task today, as opposed to another, choosing a vacation spot that is equally appealing to another, and so on. The best advice I can give people is, when it comes to making a decision, number one, look at, what are the consequences of it. If the consequences are relatively easy or relatively even, then probably the worst thing that can be done is to carry that decision around with you for an inordinate amount of time. Life gives us enough burdens as is without the burden of carrying around undecided decisions. And very often the consequences of not deciding, the drain on us while we think about it, uh, are greater than the consequences of a decision that may not be ideal. And very few choices are ideal. That's why uh, you know, why you're troubled by them. Again, if it was ideal, if it was easy, you make it. When both of my parents were uh, aging and close to death, and in my case, in both situations, although they were years differently, uh, I knew that there was some time to go and see each one of them. Uh, Travel from Philadelphia to Minneapolis was an easy decision to make. To be able to see them while they're alive, as opposed to risking not seeing them. You know, the big decisions tend to be easy to make, and we tend to have few regrets about them. Smaller decisions often are harder to make, and we also tend to have few regrets over them because the consequences of making either decision probably enables us to be roughly in the same spot. If you think back about things that may have concerned you 6 months ago or a year ago and required a lot of decision making time, probably not too many are very consequential. Um, we can make wrong decisions, and it's important to get all the input that we need in order to make it, but then go ahead and make it. I don't know who first said not making a decision is a decision in and of itself. So to not decide is actually a decision. And it's probably the worst of the decisions because it doesn't go away. So again, we tend to overthink this stuff. I am interested in if any of you have particular ideas or suggestions how you deal with the smaller, less consequential decisions, how you're able to move on, and if you do, please share it with us in the comments, and hope that some of this resonates with you and can lead to some behavior changes. So until next time, this is Dr. Ron Kaiser. Hope we'll see you back here on social media as well as at the mental health gym. Looking forward to seeing you sign up for the mental health gym so we can communicate even more than we do on social media. Take care. Talk soon.